We're recording. I don't know what day this is in the sequence. 16 maybe. I should not say, because every time I realize it's the wrong number, but Weekday Somatics. Welcome. Okay, let me briefly tell you where let me get just briefly show you where it is that I'm hoping that we can go with the sequence that we began yesterday, or maybe the date we started it, sort of the day before. I think we might take a slightly slower route, slight diversion, but I just want to kind of give you a preview so that you can kind of see the direction. So you'll recall that we've been, let me turn to the side, bump into everything. Okay, so we've been placing the arms and hands in front of the body, allowing the elbows and the sides of the hands to touch. Now we can do, what this does is, this is something I happened upon just by exploring. I noticed that when I have the hands in front of the face like this, it's possible to see something. Let's see, how do I describe this? I can look in my habitual way at the hands, which requires a particular kind of focus. It happens unconsciously, but I can become conscious of how it is that I'm focusing, and I can allow that focus to shift so that I can become aware of something different that I'm not habitually aware of. So normally I focus automatically on what I conceive of as the hands. It requires a particular effort in the eyes, in the whole nervous system. When I allow that focus to soften, when my gaze softens, then I become aware of something different. So I can see, I can describe it in, I might become aware of a lot of different things, but one thing that I can become aware of is it's like a hand between my hands. So I can become aware of, there seems to be a I don't know what to call that, a crease or a line where the two hands, or the pinky sides of the hands, are meeting, and I can become aware that there's actually two of those that I can see, one slightly to the left and one slightly to the right, and then I can start to recognize that seems to be a hand between my hands that's sandwiched between my two hands. Now, when I can become aware of this, I can play with this, and I can shift the focus slightly so that I become more aware of the crease or the line between to the right, or I can become more aware of the one to the left, and I can shift that back and forth. I can become more aware of the one to the right and more aware of the one to the left. Then I can become just aware of the hand between the hands, and then I can start to become more comfortable or familiar with that experience so that I can maintain that awareness of that hand between the hands. Now, when I do that, what that does is there's a relationship between my head, my arms, my hands, and my eyes. So this is a very particular posture in the upper portion of the body. And probably, I mean, at least for me, it's somewhat tenuous. So in order to maintain that, I have to be still. But what this allows me to do is start to play with how it is that I can maintain that stillness while also being in motion. So for example, this is just an example of the kind of thing that we could do. While maintaining that awareness of the hand between the hands, I can turn to the right. Now this is going to, most likely, at least it will, I'll drop that for a moment, but that's just give you an idea of the direction that I'd like to go with this. What that does is messes with your brain. So that I realized though that maybe that was too much too quickly. So we'll slow it down. I was hoping we could just all do that right away, but I realized after yesterday's meeting that we will take it a little slower. So now you've got an idea of what we might get to. Probably not today. So let's start with. I hope you find that exciting, though. It's very exciting. It's really exciting. It's exciting because it will totally transform your sense of yourself. So as will all of these things. Okay, so let's find a posture that we can begin in, and that we can maintain with confidence and for about 30 minutes. For today's exploration, you could do it sitting or you could do it lying on your back. Either would work. If you're able to do it sitting, I recommend doing it sitting. So okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll experiment with something related to what I was just demonstrating, but it will be maybe easier, maybe easier for us to do. So close the left eye, and with your right eye, notice that you can look to the tip of your nose. And so you can be aware of the nose. But you're only looking at it with the right eye. Now, see if it's possible for you to allow your gaze to be as relaxed as possible so that you're not straining. And then notice what this experience is like. So just see if you can keep the gaze gently on the tip of the nose. Don't strain. That's important. And notice what is happening in your experience. So for example, I notice that I have a kind of compulsive desire to turn the head to the left, or a sense that there's something not quite right, like maybe my head is turning to the left, or maybe my head's turning to the right. I'm not sure. Something seems off. But I'm just going to continue to allow the gaze to rest on the tip of the nose and just tune into the experience. So notice what's happening. Notice what sensations are arising in the shoulders, in the back of the neck. And please remember, don't strain. So if this becomes strenuous or too uncomfortable, then just rest. And in fact, let's all just close both eyes. Notice what changes in your awareness when both eyes are closed. Can you actually feel these changes taking place? I can. I find it amazing. Maybe it seems so simple or so stupid just to gaze at the nose with one eye. But when I do that in this light and gentle way, and then choose to be consciously aware of my experience, I notice things happening. I notice my sense of myself changes. So now let's see if we can slowly, without disturbing ourselves, open just the left eye, keeping the right eye gently closed. And when or if you're able to do that, then allow your left eye now to gaze at the tip of your nose. And as you're allowing the left eye to gaze at the tip of the nose, just become aware of where you are still straining, where you're making effort. Perhaps in the neck, perhaps in the jaw, perhaps with the tongue, perhaps with the forehead. And just allow that to soften. Remember, don't strain. So if it becomes overwhelming, just rest, close the eyes. And then we can close both eyes again and just notice the sensation. Notice what this experience actually is. Notice any impulse to try and figure it out or fix it or adjust. And just rest. Just rest from any involvement other than just to be aware. And then again, let's slowly open the right eye, leaving the left eye closed. And allow the gaze to gently rest on the tip of the nose. And again, please don't strain, don't try, and don't make any effort to bring it into focus. Don't try to see what you think you're supposed to see. Just allow for the gaze to be, so when I say the tip of the nose, it's a direction. It's just a direction. Don't try, I'll say the same thing I said before, don't try to see what you think you're supposed to see. Don't try to see the tip of the nose. It's just, I'm providing a direction for the gaze. And then see whatever it is that you see. Maybe we can just really become curious about what it is that we're actually seeing. And what is the whole experience of this? So does it perhaps seem odd, this experience? Do you perhaps notice any compulsive desire to change something, to do something, to open the other eye, to turn the head, to do something? And now let's explore actually turning the head. So we're going to keep the eye, the right eye open, the left eye closed, and allow the gaze to continue to rest on the tip of the nose as you slowly turn the head to the left. So we're keeping the gaze on the tip of the nose as we slowly turn the head to the left, only as far as is comfortable. Don't turn further then is completely comfortable. And keep the gaze on the tip of the nose. Don't strain though, so rest if you need to. And then when you've turned the head as far to the left as is comfortable, slowly turn the head back to center. Now this might be challenging. Can I find center? Can I find center? I don't know. But that's what we're curious about, is can we locate center with one eye open, gazing at the tip of the nose? Is that a possibility? I have no idea. My head could be anywhere right now. Let's explore that a few more times, if it's comfortable for you. If it's not, then rest. But if it's comfortable for you, or not too uncomfortable, then with the right eye open, left eye closed, gazing at the tip of the nose, turn the head slowly to the left, and then pause. Release any unnecessary effort, and then slowly bring the head to center, if that's possible. I have no idea. And then close the eye when you believe you're at center. Close both eyes and just rest. Notice if you're still making any unnecessary effort. And then when you're ready, or if you're ready, leave the right eye closed and slowly open the left eye and look at the tip of the nose. And then allowing the gaze to remain on the tip of the nose, slowly turn the head to the right. And see if it's possible to be aware of the unnecessary effort that creeps up into the movement. It's inevitable to a certain extent, so it's not like you need to judge yourself or condemn yourself, but just observe it, just be aware of it, and slow down and see if you can release it so that the movement becomes smooth, effortless, pleasurable. And then slowly bring the head to center while allowing yourself to just continue to gaze at the tip of the nose. I find this to be very challenging. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I find it gets, I grow in confidence as I explore it. So let's do that at least one more time, if appropriate. Otherwise, rest. So we're turning the head as we're gazing gently at the tip of the nose with just the left eye. See if you can allow the breathing to be relaxed. Can the tongue be relaxed? Can the jaw be relaxed? Can the chest be relaxed? Can the forehead be relaxed? Slowly bringing the head to center. It's okay if it feels clunky or awkward. So that's my experience, at least. So I'm talking to myself. It's okay, Joey. It's okay. And when you're next at center, close both eyes and just rest here for a moment. I hope nobody has fallen over. It definitely expands and it definitely expands and softens my sense of self. Okay, so now we're gonna now the big reveal. Okay, let's see. Can we slowly open both eyes and gaze at the tip of the nose with both eyes? Do not strain. So maybe you will find that your brain says this is super easy. This is no problem. I could do this all day. It's so comfortable. It's so enjoyable. It's so pleasurable. So easy. Or maybe your brain, like my brain says, this is hard. This is hard. I don't know how to do this. So don't fall into the habit of straining. Whatever, theoretically at least, be open to the possibility that if you could, whatever ease you were able to discover with just one eye gazing at the tip of the nose, that same ease theoretically should be available to you for gazing at the tip of the nose with both eyes. This should not be more strenuous in theory. In practice, maybe you're not sure how to do it. Don't strain. So if you need to rest, rest. But just explore this edge, if it's an edge. Maybe it's an edge. Maybe it's not an edge. But if it's an edge, explore this edge, this possibility of allowing the gaze to be soft, relaxed, restful. And notice how it is that you can actually observe your own processes. Certainly your own mental processes, right? Because here we are, we're just focusing the eyes, and we're exploring how to allow the eyes to focus in this most gentle way possible so that we're not straining. In this unconventional way, because we don't typically look at the tip of our nose. And then we can start to observe everything that's happening, all the processes, what the brain and nervous system are doing. They're trying to create an object there. But it's difficult because, well, it's not difficult, but it's just so unusual to us that maybe our brain has some challenge with it. And then close the eyes. Sorry if that was a long time. I get a little caught up in it sometimes. With the eyes closed, can you allow the eyes to just the eyeballs to really rest? Can you allow them to be so soft, so relaxed, sinking into the eye sockets, resting? So we could do a lot more with that, but let's actually not do more with that right now. Let's switch gears a little bit, and we can explore something that I was actually intending to explore today, which is an introduction to practical exploration of our own tissue states. How about that? Or put another way, we're going to start to explore actually becoming aware of our bones. So if we're not aware of our bones, like really clear on our bones, really, really clear on the skeletal structure from a somatic standpoint, so that we can actually clearly sense where the bone is, the shape of the bone, the relationship between the bones. If we're not really clear on that, then we're going to be we'll be uncomfortable to the degree that we don't have clarity on the bones. So we're going to explore this in the face, around the eyes, because we were just exploring moving the eyes. So if we experienced any kind of fatigue or frustration or discomfort with the eyes, and if we're presently experiencing any lack of clarity around how to fully rest the eyes, it's probably, and this might seem strange, but it's probably because we don't really know where the bones are. We don't know where we don't actually know the location, the shape, the size of our own skull. So let's see if we can become familiar or more familiar with our own skull by using our hands. And we'll take the fingertips, and this is just a suggestion. If you find this strenuous, don't do it. But if possible, put your fingertips on the cheekbones, just under the eyes. So you'll feel there's some ridges there. Well, I say you will. You might. So just notice whatever you feel there. Maybe you feel ridges, maybe you feel lumpiness, maybe you feel mushiness, maybe you feel whatever you feel. I don't know. Notice what you feel, and just allow the fingertips to rest on those areas just under the eyes. We'd normally probably call those cheekbones, I guess. But there are ridges. I say ridges. There are points on the skull here where there are attachments, muscular attachments. Now, if we don't have clarity on the bone, then we're not really going to be clear on what's here. And so we probably, if we start to really feel with the fingertips, just gently touching, and you can move the fingertips around lightly, just kind of, you could bring the fingertips to the outside corners of the eyes, and then move them inward toward the bridge of the nose, along the cheekbones, and just see, can you get clearer on the actual bone that's there? Now, to get clearer on the bone, you're going to have to soften the soft tissue. Okay, so there's soft tissue there. There's fascia and muscle fibers and whatever else is there. Lymph, all kinds of stuff, and skin. So can you start to soften that? How would you soften it? How is that possible? And what I'm suggesting is, in the same way that we can, through intention, we can activate soft tissue to contract. We know we can do that. We can, by say, to pick something up, you can probably do that. So you know how to use intention to activate the soft tissue to contract. I'm suggesting that we can do the opposite. We can use intention to soften. We can actually become more increasingly familiar with this process of how to soften. And by just touching here lightly, and then using that feedback of that touch to be aware of the tissue state, what it is that we feel. Does it feel, or is that bone that I'm sensing there, or is it something else? If I'm not sure, if I'm not 100% sure that that's bone that I'm sensing, then I want to start to explore this possibility. Can I soften it? Can I direct my intention to soften? Now, depending on how much of this kind of exploration you've done, you may immediately become aware of how you can do that. You might already have some familiarity with that, or you might have no clue. You might think, this is crazy. That's not a possibility at all. But I promise you, this is a skill that we can develop, and it's a very useful skill. I'm certain of it. So you just can start to feel, what is that there? And can you begin to just direct the intention to soften? And then do you actually begin to feel the tissue softening under your fingers? I do. I feel the tissue softening under my fingers. Now, this is not like a deep tissue massage. I'm not poking and prodding. It's a light touch. The touch is just to provide feedback. This is not a manual release technique. This is about cultivating conscious awareness so that we can begin to actually direct our intention to soften. It's a very, very useful skill. It has practical application in my life, because when I recognize that I have a lack of clarity, and then I recognize that I'm in the space of that confusion or lack of clarity, I am fearfully introducing unnecessary effort and tension and strain, and that manifests at a physical level as soft tissue contracting. And then I realize that I can reverse that just through intention. I'm no longer confused. I'm no longer mistaking my habits for what they're not. I'm no longer mistaking those habits to mean that there's a problem, to mean that I have to protect myself, to mean that I have to work harder. I'm free to experience my own internal support structure, alignment. And then I can start to, so with the cheeks, I start to notice all of these little habits where I have compulsions to recontract them, to lift the cheeks, to draw the cheeks toward the eyes and the eyes toward the cheeks into this tight grip, a mask. It is a mask. So I'm exploring releasing the mask so that I can really feel and get clear on the bones. So we'll wrap this up for today. As usual, don't do anything sudden. It's probably too late for that suggestion, because as soon as I say we'll wrap it up for today, you probably already did something sudden. But don't condemn yourself. Just become aware. Just become aware of that habit. Become aware of the habit of suddenness. And then become aware that you are aware of that suddenness, and you're aware of the space in which that suddenness occurs. Just continue to remain aware to whatever degree it's possible for you. Remain aware of that space. And if your eyes are closed, then slowly explore opening them as smoothly as possible. And if you find that you're straining to maintain this posture, then don't transition suddenly. Just observe how you're straining and explore the possibility of softening. See, is it possible to get from this state of contraction, fear, anxiety, efforting, to a state of clarity and ease, so that I can really recognize how it is that I have produced the state of discomfort and fear and anxiety, and I can become familiar with that road, so that I can no longer walk down that road, and I can remain open to greater possibilities. For those who are here live, we'll continue momentarily with the Q&A. Take your time. Don't hurry anything. For those who are watching the recording, I'm going to end the recording now. So thank you, and I hope you'll join again.